Whatever contribution they want from us as citizens to do to secure Nigeria, we will give, because this country belongs to us and we need to work together to make things work. And so all our yearning is to see how this country will be secured for us, for our children, and for the children yet born.
Now, Reverend Hayab, you've worked closely with communities in the north. What are you hearing from parents, teachers, local leaders? And as a clergyman, when you mount the pulpits on Sundays and you look into the faces of your congregants, how do you inspire hope in them, looking at the realities of things that are happening in the country? The Senate, as we speak, is planning to attend a banquet on the invitation of the First Lady for dinner on Friday in this sort of times. How can you give us a sense of how the community feels?
Well, apart from hearing, I also see. I hear cries, I hear concern, I hear how people are expressing pains, I hear how people are expressing disappointment. I also see trauma. I also see people getting weak. So these are realities of what is happening in this country. There's something that we must acknowledge about our country. We are interconnected. So if there's a problem in Kebbi, you may think I'm in Kaduna, but there's a connect. If there's a problem in Niger, you may think I'm in Jos, but there's a connect. If there's a problem in Kwara, you may think I'm in Kano, but there's a connect. So at the end of the day, there is always a connect. So once there's a problem somewhere, there's a problem in the country. I remember very well when the gunmen went to the CAC church in Kwara. A young man who is serving in Jos came out to say that's his grandmother. You can see the connect. So the moment she is his grandmother, his friends in Jos became worried about it. And his other partners become, so that's the challenge we have. So there's these pains all over the country. And I don't know, I'm not sure of the story. I read it somewhere, and I hope it's one of those stories that we are just reading on the media about the dinner. I hope it's just one of those stories. So I don't want to dig deep into that, but I think in the spirit of the moment, in the pains of the moment, our leaders need to think twice, our leaders need to act responsibly, our leaders need to show that they really care, our leaders need to show that, look, the people's pains is their pains. In the past week, there were events that were supposed to hold. The president canceled his trip, which is a kudos to him. So if others are still thinking that it's Uhuru and planning other things, they should learn from Mr. President. I think that's one of the things I think Nigerians must understand, that our president is showing good things and is coming with good things. But there may be people around him who seems not to understand and are not reading the handwriting. They are not reading the mood. So we will advise them that, look, read the mood of the country and help this president. If you love Nigeria, love this president. If you love this president, tell him the truth and do what is right for Nigeria.
Okay. I want to quickly go to the declaration of national security, statement that many are starting to, I'd say there are mixed reactions. People are happy about it. I mean, for us here on News Central, in-depth analysis has always bordered on finding solutions to the current crisis. And part of it is that we've highlighted here that the country needs to put a hold on every other thing and focus solely on the wicklow, or the core problem that's affecting every single person. And you would agree with me that that is insecurity, because you've also been bitten by it and you're still trying to recover. But I want to take one line out of the long mention by the president. One of it is that he went on to say states should rethink establishing boarding schools in remote areas without adequate security. That's one. I want you to look at that, because you'd agree with me, Reverend, that some of these schools where the kidnappings are happening, the schools are far away from the cities or town. That's one. So the president is saying they should have a rethink on that. Secondly, this is where it really concerns you. Mosques and churches should constantly seek police and other security protection when they gather for prayers, especially in vulnerable areas. So I want to ask, have you considered this? Are you going to start having police officers surround your church?
Or is this something you're doing already?
Is this something you're going to look into?
Well, for over 10 years, if not more, the idea of our gathering having security is something that we've been doing. So what the president said was just simply to remind us that let's not stop doing that. Since the advent of Boko Haram, if you go to many of our churches, you see how we have barricades. People don't just walk to church the way they want. We search people before they enter the church. Many churches now have security committee, and those security committee work. In one of the churches in Abuja that I used to come and worship, I have seen even retired generals as part of those committees to show that there's a commitment on our side. So we are partners in progress for this, and I think the president just re-echoed what we've been doing. And I believe the mosques have also been doing this, because we saw in the past how many of these suicide bombers will just run into church to do the evil they want to do. And so we've taken measures. The other advice he did make is about boarding schools in areas that are
remote
secure.
areas.
Unfortunately, the school in Kaduna that was affected some years ago is just less than 5 kilometers from this heart of the town. So sometimes the issues are not just the location of the schools. The issues have to do with how do we gather our understanding of this, the pattern of these criminal people, because they come in large number. What happened? I've always advocated that one challenge we have with the system, which the president also addressed this week, is deployment. We are not deploying our security to where they're supposed to guard or supposed to serve or supposed to protect citizens, but we get a large chunk of our security to be guarding VIPs. Fortunately for us, Mr. President took a step that we hope the IG and his men will do that seriously, unless they don't love Nigeria. Because tell me, if there are 300 banks in Kaduna or in Jos or in Maiduguri, and each of these banks is expecting the Commissioner of Police to send police to them every day, or from Monday to Friday, or every day. If some banks may have 2, some 3, some 1, at the end of the day, about 300 to 400, if not 600 policemen are guarding banks. What for? On what ground? This is pure business. What they needed to do is to engage their security people, get in touch with the police force and say, look, we are bringing people for you to be trained, for you to train for us. They train them and they can get licensed firearms and give to them. But you see, because they are looking for a cheap way of doing it and they are costing larger citizens pains. So government should take a stand and say our police is not for banks. Give them a time that from now to 6 months, we are no longer providing police for you. You provide your security because you are making business. And then this number of security men attached to VIPs is really uncalled for. There's a security man to the son, there's a security man to the daughter, there's a security man to the friends, there's a security man to the wife, a security man to Oga. One family alone is having 20 or 10 or 5 people guarding them. Well, the larger population don't even have. So as I celebrate the instruction for recruitment, I also want to bring this to public understanding that our government must just do this holistically. Recruit more, but ensure that deployment is proper, is adequate. We can secure this country. This is our country. This is our country. Look, nobody knows our community the way we know our community. That's why those who also speak about state police sometimes get our support, because in reality, state police will be indigenous police, will be people who are familiar with the terrain, will be people who will work among the system. Those who argue against it would say, the governor will hijack it. Brother, the governor have a time to serve. After 4 years, if he's lucky, he goes for another 4 years. After 8 years, he cannot remain the governor. If he use them negatively, it will come back on him. So let's not use one excuse to deny ourselves something that will benefit the larger community. So for me, I hope that the actions that have so far taken in this week will translate into the statements that have so far been made this week will translate into concrete action, and then those actions, we will see them at work. But we must commend Mr. President for standing tall to say what he has said, and we urge those that orders have been given to them to obey the orders.
Now, Reverend Hayab, quite a number of people will disagree with you on that, on the withdrawal of VIPs, Special Protection Units. Senator Tahir Manguno of Borno State said, withdrawing protection from public officials at a time of heightened criminal activities will put their lives at risk. He said senators and other VIPs have become prime targets for terrorists, kidnappers, and armed gangs, making the directive dangerous and poorly timed, so it's not everyone.
No, I have an answer to this. I think the senator is just explaining or bringing out the selfishness we've seen in leadership of Nigeria. I see. Why do you need 5 policemen, Mr. Senator? Why not just one? Why do your son, your wife want to go to market and one policewoman or one policeman is holding her back? Why do you need that? So let's not do it. Are you saying the other citizens are not important? Their lives is not important? Nobody is saying that important people or VIPs shouldn't be guarded, but the way it is done in Nigeria is an abuse of privilege. It is not fair to citizens. So we are simply saying, do what is needful. They are talking about this. Every senator, look, sir, from Mr. President to the last man in Nigeria is just first among equals. I think people should understand this. I have been to different countries of the world. I have ride on a train with senior legislative MPs, and they land and just move to their office. What is the big deal in Nigeria that you just feel the moment you have an office, then you become untouchable? And do you even see what the security around them do? They further keep them far away from the people because they even lack understanding of how to protect their man. They see it as disgracing someone who is innocently passing just because one VIP is there. I think our National Assembly members and leaders must know what is the feelings of the people. I'm speaking because I work with the people. They do, but honestly, they don't really understand the pains and the way people view all these things. So nobody is saying they shouldn't be protected, but people are saying regulate the protection by ensuring that no one VIP will have 5, 6, or 3 policemen to himself. What for? Well, larger Nigerians don't have police. I think that is wrong. When proper things are done, we would even begin to solve the problem before we recruit the 10,000 or the 20,000 or the 50,000. Why must we wait all others Nigerians die? So who is going to vote for you next time? If they just protect you and allow your people to be killed, who do you want to vote for you? Apart from voting for you, when you go to office, who are you governing if you don't care about the lives of the other people? So I think what is really is being discussed now is Nigerian first. Think about Nigerian and Nigerians. Protect Nigeria and Nigerians before we talk about one individual who want to enjoy privileges. We love our leaders. We respect our leaders. I think they need to really appreciate us. The way and manner Nigerians love leaders and respect leaders, it doesn't happen in other countries. If it's in another country, this statement he has said would have called for reactions.
Okay. I mean, I know you said that it's born out of selfish reasons, but I'm also aware that some of the, in quotes, men of God also use these security aids as well. And this equally concerns you too. Aren't you worried that the men of God who have the security aids with their guns, who protect them, their convoy, they open the car for them and so on, wouldn't it affect them too?
As long as they engage those security men on their own, they pay them from their posts. As long as those security men are not Nigerian police, they have a right to do that if they have the resources. But once you begin to now use police, you have lost that right to tell another member to have faith in God for protection because you don't even believe in the protection yourself. See, because some clerics do that, do not make it right. I love and I celebrate the current president of Nigeria. When you find him, you will never see all these things around him. He will even pass you, you will not know he's the president unless you know him before now. So we have some example of pastors we can give. There are many pastors out there, highly placed pastors who are respected. They don't do these things. For those who choose this flamboyant lifestyle, may have it for their own reason, but I advise them, if they want to have a good testimony, let them do as advised, recruit the people themselves. They may ask the police to train them and pay the fee for training, but not using Nigerian police, because if they do, they also do not have the moral right to come and sit as I'm sitting and say, no, this is wrong, because how do you want to be secured? Well, the people you are telling them about heaven are dying. Oh, you want to remain on earth and you are telling them to go to heaven. No, please stop that. I think we should also tell ourselves the truth. So if I, Reverend Hayab, belongs to that group, then I'm wrong. Thank God I do not do that.
Now, Reverend Hayab, as we begin to wind down on this interview, I know I asked this question earlier in a different sort of way, but I didn't really get an answer. We are seeing a general sense of hopelessness among Nigerians because it's almost like this kidnappings and banditry and abductions has become normalized. When you mount the pulpit on Sunday, what sort of message do you tell your congregation that are losing hope in, governance and Nigeria as a whole? Because I know clergymen are always optimistic. You look at the brightest side of things and you never lose hope as long as you are prayerful.
Thank you very much. Some few days ago, I was actually in Anqua in Kogi State to meet with the Christian elders there. And the message I took to them is God is our refuge. He is our hope in times of trouble. Taking our text from Psalms 46 from verse 1 to 3. You see, the truth is that God promised to protect us. God promised to provide for us. God promised to secure us. But you see, because God promised to provide for us and he provided rice, and you do not cook rice, and you cook rice, you do not apply salt, and you cook rice, you do not apply oil, the rice will not be tasty. So God's promise is there. And we keep reminding people to hold on to the promise of God. But we are also conscious of the fact that the Bible says, watch and pray. So we have to balance what we teach the people. I, as Reverend Hayab, this is what I do virtually every week. You'll be surprised to know that there's no week I don't preach up to 4 different sermons in different places. I remind people about the promises of God and how God secure people. But in that, God used the people, or God grant the people the wisdom to use in saving themselves. When God was to save the Israelites from the hands of Pharaoh, he called Moses and asked Moses to come back. We know the drama surrounding his birth and how he lived in the house of Pharaoh and finally ran and came back. So God will always work among men to deliver men. And so it is important for people of faith to know where God wants them to act. Because God will satisfy you, then you don't eat food, you will die of hunger. Because God will protect you, then you go and put your hand inside fire, your hand will be burnt. So let's teach people what the Bible says and how God have done it to other people through ages, and don't give them hope that is not of God. God did promise us through scripture that in this world we will have many troubles, but let's
Okay, I think some network connectivity issues there. But I think we get the message, and it's been a very fine conversation we've had with Reverend. Thank you so much for joining us, and thanks for sharing your thoughts with us, by the way. And we look forward to see what will happen, especially with the declaration of the national security by the President, State of Insecurity as well.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Thank you so much.